The mystery of the rain of steel that fell from a UFO and the effect that it had on a journalist. On June 24th, 1947, the famous Cascade Mountain incident occurred in Washington state when American military pilot Kenneth Arnold observed several disc-shaped UFOs in the sky. It was after this that, in fact, the era of ufology began with the term flying saucers, coined by Arnold, master of this phenomenon. And just a few days after Arnold's sighting, another UFO incident occurred in the United States, far more frightening, but which has now been almost universally forgotten. Tacoma resident Harold Dahl, along with his young son Charles, and two crew members were sailing a tugboat between Seattle and Tacoma. Suddenly they noticed 6 gold and silver round-shaped flying objects in the sky, and they appeared to eyewitnesses to look like donuts. Suddenly a donut swung and a shower of thin metal strips and incomprehensible black pieces poured directly into the tugboat. One of the strips landed on the boy's hand and left a mark on the skin as if from acid. The child escaped with only this slight injury, but the same strips fell upon his dog and the dog died instantly. Upon arrival, Dahl immediately told his boss, Fred Lee Christman, about the incident and went to the tug and managed to collect several black stripes from the deck as evidenced. And a few days later, Dahl met one of the classic men in black, quote unquote, driving a black sedan and stopping him right on the street. The stranger led him to a restaurant where they sat at a table and had a brief conversation. The men in black warned Harold to keep quiet about what he saw and what happened to his son and dog. Somehow, Kenneth Arnold himself found out about the Dahl case in Tacoma and flew there in his plane and then contacted his military friends, asking them to look into this case so they might connect it to his recent observation of UFOs. And just a few days later, on July 31st, 2 military officers were sent to Tacoma to investigate the incident. Now, let's remember this date was June 24th, 1947. And we know that the Roswell UFO crash was June 4th, 1947, reported June 8th. So this is very close to the Roswell UFO, New Mexico UFO and ET event. So, and Kenneth Arnold himself found out of Dahl's case in Tacoma, and he wanted to find out more about this. And just a few days later, July 31st, 2 military officers were sent to Tacoma to investigate the incident, Captain William Davidson and Lieutenant Frank M. Brown. Inspecting the tugboat, they allegedly found nothing special there and told the ridiculous version what fell from the sky to the people was just rust from the foundry blown into the air by a strong wind. However, they collected several suspects as well as strips collected by Christman. They collected several objects and took many photographs, reported capturing a wound on the boy's arm, a deck damaged by molten steel strips, and even the body of the dead dog. Davidson and Brown flew back to base from Tacoma in the same B-25 plane they had used to investigate the case, but they did not reach the base as the plane, for unknown reasons, crashed near Kelso, Washington. All on board died and the samples and photographs collected disappeared without a trace. The news of this crash had not yet become public when an anonymous person called the local newspaper and reported the crash of the airplane, adding that the plane was deliberately brought down because there were flying saucers fragments on board. It also turned out that when Kenneth Arnold took off from Tacoma, his engine failed and he had to make an emergency landing. After checking his plane, Arnold discovered that his fuel valve had been closed by someone on purpose. 2 weeks later, Tacoma Times reporter Paul Lantz, who was covering the UFO story, passed away suddenly. Now, what do we have here that lasts until today? Was this some type of a cover-up? Please leave your comments and thank you for your support. Please support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.